For one, it's the final hurrah. For the others, the last chance to prove. The last time to do it. The last opportunity to make it happen. Kevin Windham has tried for 10 years. Chad Reed has been so close. James Stewart has a plan for redemption. 9 straight years, Ricky Carmichael has topped them all. 2006 is his final turn. Hello and welcome to Hangtown. It's the opening of the 2006 AMA Motocross Championship. The Toyota AMA Motocross Championship presented by FMF. It's the 38th annual Honda Hangtown Classic here at Sacramento, California, and it is round 1 of 12 for the season. A very, very vocal crowd is on hand. I'm Brian Drebber along with David Pingree. Aaron Bates working the dirt for us down in the pits and paddock area, and we welcome all of you here to what is expected to be the biggest season of motocross in quite some time because of the competition, Ping.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Ricky Carmichael's racing his last series here this summer, and he's got guys like James Stewart, Chad Reed, Kevin Windham. Guys really want to get up there and compete with him for the last time in a full series. Now,
Mother Nature has not exactly cooperated, but the Dirt Diggers have pulled off a great event once again. This year they brought in 2,000 tons of sand, making it more like an East Coast course. Now, Ricky Carmichael has announced that he'll be racing only part-time in the future, but full-time this weekend.
I'm happy with what I've accomplished, and I believe there's a time where you have to be real with yourself. And, you know, I don't want to be racing when the flames burn out. And, you know, I'm happy with what I've done, and, you know, I don't want to tarnish anything that I've done, and would like to just, you know, go out on top.
Well, going out on top means that he's going to have to keep doing what he's been doing, and that's winning almost without exception throughout the course of his career in 125, 250, Supercross, Motocross, Ping. He's the standard by which all others are judged, and all others are starting to come up to his level right now. We're seeing challenges first from Chad Reed, and now mostly from James Bubba Stewart.
That's right. You know, you don't get the nickname the GOAT for nothing, the greatest of all time. And I don't think anyone has ever gone out of a Supercross series as a champion. And Ricky did that in Vegas, kept the title, and, man, that's impressive.
So Chad Reed, Kevin Windham, James Stewart, all those trying to beat Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't really been any battles in motocross. You know, when I was in 125s, I just kind of won everything. And then when Ricky was in, you know, in this class right now, he just won everything. And, you know, maybe you'll see that this year. I mean, hopefully not. You know, hopefully I'll be winning, but not. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of good battles today, hard battles, and it's going to be fun.
I think if you're beating Ricky Carmichael, you're winning races. So it's all the same thing. You know, it's you know, James is going to be fast this year. So you know, who knows? I just want to win races.
I don't think that, like, as far as confidence goes, we have to beat it out of Ricky, first off. And I mean, by doing that, we have to have speed, and we just have to, you know, we have to have those first couple wins. We have to have the momentum swing any one of the 3 or 4 guys that can do it. We have to have the momentum swing that way. Have to have it swing early, and we have to get in Ricky's head.
Everybody's got their own theories and how they, you know, what they need to do, but I think they need to worry about themselves instead of me first. So, you know, I'm confident in my program, and it's going to be good. I think it's going to be probably one of the toughest. I got my mind made up that it's going to be, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to fight to the end and try my hardest.
David, practice times are sometimes a peek into how things are going to go. The track with rain, a lot of moisture and whatnot, but the folks here under the direction of Ed Santon have done a great job putting this track together. Practice times, what are they telling us here this weekend?
Well, Saturday during the practice, James had some problems with his bike. There was something in his fuel line that was either kinked, not sure exactly what the problem was. He missed the very first practice of the weekend. So when he came out Sunday, he really had to get some work done, and he did. He turned in a lap time 2 seconds faster than Ricky, which had to have Ricky, you know, concerned a little bit going into that first moto.
Now let's go to Aaron Bates for our Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Well, thanks, Brian. Take a look behind us. We're hanging out at the Toyota Zone. It's a little windy up here, but we're taking a look at all the hospitality, and I'm alongside with Doug Frisbee from Toyota. Doug, you guys have really stepped it up your involvement in moto this year, not only financially, but you guys are really dedicated to catering to privateers and also to the fans. This isn't the first outside sponsor that's come on into moto. What is making Toyota so much different?
Yeah, you know, it's great to be here. We started with Arena Cross this year and then went to Supercross, and so we're extremely excited to be here for the outdoor series. And really the thing that enables us to have such a great presence here is that we're here for the long haul. We're really trying to contribute to the growth of the sport, doing things like supporting the privateers with the Rider Lounge, providing something with the fans, a ride and drive experience over there with the FJ Cruiser, the Tacoma, and the Tundra. So it's really easy for us to have a great presence because the sport means a lot to us. Our customers, our moto fans, a lot of the riders use our trucks to carry their bikes, and this is really a place that we feel like we belong.
We've had a lot of outside sponsorship in motocross, other automakers and stuff, but Toyota has done an amazing job of completely embracing this category of sport, and they're doing things to benefit AMA motocross fans, AMA motocross riders. They're involved in the TV production, buying space in magazines, and they've really infiltrated the entire motocross community in a way that I don't think the sport has seen ever, and it's terrific to have them on board.
Well, with that great news, we go to the track itself. Hangtown has been around for a long time, David Pingree, but they've made some changes that we think have improved it.
They sure have. You know, it hurts to say, but my first race here was over a decade ago, and they've made so many great improvements to the track since then. It used to be very hard pack. It was blue groove, and if you went down on this, I mean, you were skinned up head to toe. They brought in a ton of sand, plowed it up real deep, made some changes to let it flow a little bit better, allow for multiple lines. Riders can kind of get in and make passes and mix it up, and it's just a lot better than it used to be that way.
Well, we're looking at our Honda starting grid here, and the 32nd board is up. That means racing is going to be happening here pretty quickly. Dead center of the screen, the number 4, Ricky Carmichael. Most, if not all, the eyes are focused on him, and he typically gets such great starts. He launches out through the middle of the pack again and takes the whole shot. First man into turn number 1 is the number 4.
Carmichael gets the Racer X Whole Shot Award.
But
goes down.
Oh man, and look out, this is the freeway in rush hour, and with all the respect everybody has, they don't want to run over Ricky, but now it's going to be Chad Reed who's the leader on his Yamaha.
I'll tell you, he's the loneliest man in the world laying there in the middle of the track with 39 guys coming at him, and that is not a good feeling. He did have the bike between himself and the rest of the pack. That's a little bit more comforting, but he's got a lot of work to do now.
So now it is Chad Reed out in front with Robbie Raynard out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma on his Honda CRF 450. Here's Ricky Carmichael. We're used to seeing him out front by a margin of this magnitude, but now he's going to be chasing the tail end of the field, of course making a lot of passes, and that puts himself at risk. Take another look at what happened here. We saw him get the whole shot, then why did he crash?
Well, the dirt's a little bit wet. They've had some drizzle on and off here all morning, and you can just see the front end just goes out from under him, catches a bump, pops him back over, and that's it. You're not saving that one.
Couldn't quite use Chad Reed for enough of a berm to bounce off of him. He did almost make contact tire to tire there, but yes, that was pretty much a solo crash by Ricky Carmichael, a man who doesn't do that very often, especially on the start. So he got a great start and turned it into a big problem here for the rest of this Moto number 1. Ricky Carmichael certainly will not win Moto 1 here today. Chad Reed out in front trying to hold off the rest.
Yeah, Chad Reed's got a great opportunity here. You know, Ricky's coming from so far back, and this is not the race you want to be doing that. With the wet conditions, your goggles are going to go away quick. I mean, they can put as many as 24 tear-offs on, but, you know, you're going to go through those coming through that many riders.
And so with James Bubba Stewart back in 5th position, Reed getting a little wild there as he tries to hang on to the lead. Probably got off the track even and lost the number 1 spot. Went right over the fence, had to come back on course, and now it's Raynard who's out in front.
I don't remember the last time Robbie Renard led a national, but 10 years ago, this guy was a can't-miss kid. You know, he was the next big thing. And injuries, bad luck, they plagued him. But here he is leading the national.
So Robbie Raynard, if you want to say it like that, I'll go with you there, David Pingree. Here is the leader with Chad Reed in 2nd. Bubba Stewart, a glimpse of him up to 3rd position right now, and he's right behind Chad Reed. So maybe Raynard is going to enjoy that lead for a little while the 2 guys behind him battle it out.
This is a great opportunity for Chad to check out. You know, he's got both Ricky and Stewart behind him, and if he can get a little bit of a lead and sort of push his pace, he could get a moto win here.
Take another look at what happened to Chad Reed. who got a little wild there and couldn't collect it back up altogether. Riding the front tire, nice job. But of course, control is an issue. Gets into a deep rut, spits him right up out of there.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't go down there. That was a great save. And it's just a good thing he didn't hit the dirt.
And the bulldozer that's there for track maintenance makes the turn, comes back in. And Reynard probably had eyes as big as saucers when the number 22 came launching back over the fence onto the racetrack.
Yeah, and he got lucky he didn't get banners put in his wheel. That'll take your brakes out immediately. So Chad dodged a bullet there.
Robbie Reynard on the number 17 Honda out in front. Here comes Reed with Bubba Stewart. James on the number 7 Kawasaki coming inside. Can't make the pass there. In fact, stalled it. Wow, we're seeing all kinds of strange things going on here among the best riders in the world.
Well, this is Chad Reed's race to lose now. I mean, that having these guys that far back, there's no reason he can't just check out. This is his race to win.
And trying to get these Kawasaki KX450s or any of those big 4-strokes started again is not as easy as it used to be with the old 2-stroke machines, in spite of all the manufacturers' efforts to make them a little bit easier to refire. So here comes James Stewart now trying to make his way through traffic. And of course the question at this point is, where's Ricky Carmichael? He's got to be threading his way about halfway up through the field at this point.
Yeah, he's tearing tear-offs like a crazy man and working his way up. There you see him. He's right up to the back of Stewart. Those two are going to connect here soon, I'm sure, and work their way to the front of the pack.
Used to seeing them battle for the lead. Right now we're going to be watching both Ricky Carmichael and James Bubba Stewart battling for position. They're coming up behind Ryan Mills on the number 40 machine. Take a look at our Toyota leaderboard while we take a short break. Lightweight, superior power, incredible handling. It's why champions choose Suzuki. And by Progressive Direct. Don't go underprotected. Get a dirt bike insurance quote at progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Back to the action now with Robbie Reynard being challenged by Chad Reed on the number 22 machine. James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael having their own battle deep in the field trying to get to where these guys are. But Reynard looks like he might be vulnerable now, and Reed's on a tear.
Yeah, Bernard, you know, he's got pressure, a lot of pressure right now. That'll make you pump up so fast. I'm sure his forearms are like rocks right now. And there Reed slips by. And this is definitely Chad Reed's chance to put some real estate between himself, Stewart, and Carmichael. And if he wants to win this moto, he's got to gap himself now. This is a great opportunity.
Chad Reed sliding past Robbie Reynard on the number 17 Honda. So Reed Yamaha's out in front. The Kawasaki and Suzuki of James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael much further back. And indeed, here is Chad Reed's opportunity. If he can just settle in, put some good steady turns together, doesn't have to be spectacular, just has to be error-free at this point. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. You know, he's just got to put in good solid laps. You have to be patient in this kind of weather, you know. Ooh, Ricky chopped somebody a little bit right
Ricky
there.
going by the number 198, Jacob Saylor out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And I guess Saylor perhaps a little startled by it. Looked like he tipped over. But here goes Ricky Carmichael on the number 4. Up front, it's Chad Reed. Reynard staying close.
When your pace is that much faster, you know, like Ricky's is, it's hard to go by guys that are going slower. You can't really judge their speed. And not that I've ever had that problem going that much faster than other people, but sometimes he'll clip guys who won't even know it.
Well, David, if I was out there, you'd be going that much faster than me. Here comes Chad Reed, going past all the FMF banners there, leaping down the hill, makes a hard left turn, trying to find a smooth line. Even though this is the very first moto, there's been a lot of practice going on out there, and ruts, huge ruts and big bumps are already well developed.
Yeah, this is huge for Chad Reed. You know, he's in the process of putting together his deal for next year. Doesn't have anything signed yet, still looking for a manufacturer. If he can come out and get a national, even a moto win, I mean, that's huge for him. He didn't get the Supercross title that he wanted, lost it to Ricky there in a nail-biter in Vegas, and this would do great things for his season, his future, his confidence. It'd be good to see him do well.
So James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael now nose to tail, 9th and 10th positions respectively, each trying to pick their way through the field as cleanly as possible, not make another mistake, because points are so important. Your position in moto number 1 combined with your position moto number 2 is what determines your overall. You can give up a little bit of a race here, but you got to get all the points you can.
That's right. You know, if you look at the Supercross series and the way that finished, the top 3 guys were separated by only 2 points at the end of the year. I mean, that just goes to show you every single rider counts. Every guy you get by, the difference between, especially when you get into the top 5 and points are separated by 2 or 3 points per position, it's so critical that you get every rider you can.
Heath Voss losing a spot there to Carmichael as we go back to Robbie Reynard, who has now lost the position to David Vuillemin. Vuillemin, by the way, notably the last rider to lead a motocross championship, and that was in 2001. Since then, it's been all Ricky Carmichael at the top of the table, and a tremendous reign he has had. So Vuillemin now in the number 2 spot behind fellow Yamaha rider Chad Reed, and now it is Reynard into 3rd.
Yeah, David Vuillemin's doing great here. This is good to see him up at the front here. He had a troubled Supercross season with the Buku Honda team. They parted ways amicably, but now he had to find something else, something to come out and prove that he still had the talent to run up front. So he put something together with the Moto World Yamaha team, Paul Lindsay, and he likes this track. So won here in 2000 and likes the mud. He's from France where it rains a lot, and he's going to be a contender all day, I think, in these conditions.
James Stewart watching the spectacular style of the Kawasaki rider. He moves inside K-Dub. Kevin Windham losing a position now to Stewart, as we saw Heath Voss lose a spot to Carmichael a while ago. So James Stewart also trying to do the same thing, just stay error-free. He's already made his one mistake. Can't make another one at this point in the race. Just give up too many positions.
Windham looks like he's a little off the pace. His lap times in practice were a little off, but it'll be interesting to see if he can latch onto the back of James or Ricky and follow those guys to the front. You know, Kevin obviously has the talent and speed to do it. Maybe he's just not quite as comfortable yet, but a lot of times you can latch onto the back of another guy that's going quicker, follow his lines, and just sort of imitate what he's doing and pick your lap times up a couple seconds.
Carmichael going past Windham as well now, so we'll see if the number 14 Honda can hang in there with both James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael now. We get a glimpse there of the number 144 Kyle Partridge out of Las Vegas. Back to Ricky Carmichael on the number 4, following James Stewart. Different line right there. A little bit different drive off the corner and up the hill. Stewart with one foot, then both off the pegs. And he punches the number 144 Partridge kind of out of the way and goes on by. Let's see if Kyle Partridge hangs on, whether Ricky Carmichael gets a clean line around him.
Well, it's got to almost make your head spin when those two come by you. You know, one guy bumps into you, blows you out of a line. The next guy spins you around in a circle. I wouldn't want to be Kyle Partridge right now.
Well, he's hanging in there pretty well as both Stewart and Carmichael go past. They're working up behind Robbie Reynard now on the number 17, our early leader.
And Nick Way's in there as well, top finishing privateer in the Supercross Series. Nick's had a great year with the MDK team, and he's looking to continue that relationship and you know, continue to grow that team. And they've been great. They've done a lot of good things this year. In the Nationals, Nick's always been comfortable, loves the outdoors, the mud, and it'll be good to see him just keep the good results up this summer.
Nick Way on the number 27 machine. He's out of Michigan, also riding a Honda. There goes Stewart. There goes Carmichael, both around Nick Way. So they seem to be like the tide. You know, they're coming. They're heading up towards the front. As we take another look at our Toyota leaderboard, it's changing. Welcome back to Hangtown. Time for David Pingree with the Team Suzuki riding tip. It involves the contour in that saddle.
That's right. One of the latest trends here, especially on the bigger 450 bikes, is that step in the seat, the little shape in it. It allows riders, when they're accelerating out of a turn or up a hill, to have something to butt up against and keep them from sliding all the way back in the seat. You can see Ricky accelerating out of that turn. These bigger bikes have so much power, it'll slide you right up the back if there isn't something there to hold you in place.
And that's our Team Suzuki riding tip with David Pingree here at Hangtown, where our leader is Chad Reed on the number 22 bike, but we are watching with more than a little interest now, a battle that's developing behind him as David Vuillemin is coming into the clutches of both James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael. So we're seeing three of the biggest names in motocross, but they're not the leaders.
Looks like Vuillemin sort of took a glance over, got out of the way a little bit. I don't know if that's being courteous or just
afraid?
Realizing he can't run the pace there. Those guys are going so fast, you see James get a little crooked. And Ricky diving to the inside to take advantage of it.
James looking around at Ricky Carmichael. They both came by David Vuillemin like he was a lapper almost. Vuillemin pulled over a little bit, looked at both of them. Now they're looking at each other, and they've got a real man-to-man battle going here between the green Kawasaki number 7 and the yellow Suzuki number 4.
You got to realize here, too, David Vuillemin is not slow. He's a very, very fast rider, one of the top 5 riders in the world. And these two go around him and just absolutely check out. The pace these two have going right now is so ridiculous. It's almost impossible that they can go this fast.
So James Stewart in front right now with Ricky Carmichael right behind him. We would expect this to be a battle for the lead, but instead it is, they have come up through the pack. Carmichael from dead last. James Stewart from just a spot or two in front of him. They both made mistakes. Carmichael early, Stewart a little bit later, and now they're trying to make up for the mistake that they made. Heading towards the front, they'll never get to Chad Reed. We'll never say never, I would say.
Yeah, you know, this is critical for Ricky. You can tell he's trying frantically to get around James. And here it looks like, yeah, he's trying to the inside. He's doing everything he can. His goggles, he's got to be down to his last few tear-offs. He's eating that roost, you know, being so close to James. That does not feel good. I mean, that's flying off their rear tires so fast. It's muddy. It's sticking to him. He wants to try to get by as quick as he can and get in front of him.
Like being in the line of fire at a machine gun nest, because the dirt clods coming off of there, little rocks and everything else. Here's James Stewart throwing some roost up on the crowd now, and Ricky Carmichael getting a little bit of it. Reached up there and wiped off his goggles. If he's out of tear-offs, he's going to have to use his glove. Deep ruts, look at that, all the way up to the engine cases. Here's Chad Reed getting more than a little encouragement from the crowd. Out in front right now. He should be able to hold those two off with a good, consistent ride. One, well, I would have to say a big mistake, and they'd be on him.
Yeah, he's got a pretty huge lead right now. It's looking good for him. You know, he needs to get a moto win, and it would just help his confidence. You know, that's so key in this sport. He's just believing that you can win, believing you can beat those guys, even if it came at a crash that they had.
How much are his mechanics and helpers along the track signaling him, keeping him aware of how big a gap he has?
Oh, I'm sure all the Yamaha mechanics are keeping tabs on Ricky and James' lap times, also on Chad's lap times, letting them know the difference, letting him know his lead. It's probably shrinking a little bit, and he'll be doing the math in his head. Okay, I've got 15 minutes left in the moto or whatever. They're catching me 2 seconds a lap. You know, the pace I have is good, or I've got to pick up the pace. So believe me, they're all over there like a bunch of calculators working it out right now.
A few spots on the track. They might even be able to get a glimpse of one another here and there with all the elevation changes. It would have to be on high ground. Chad Reed climbing one of the big hills here at Hangtown. And there is the gap between him and Ricky Carmichael. It is significant, but not so bad because the laps are winding down.
And you can see Chad, when he came down that hill, he can peek straight over and see where those guys are at. So he'll be able to spot them every lap and say, all right, they're catching me this much per lap. So that's an advantage he's got. And those guys, again, Ricky's in the worst position here because he's going to lose his vision. I mean, this is, you can't eat roost for 40 minutes and still have clear vision. It just doesn't happen.
He's trying to stay on a different line to minimize the effect. Every once in a while, he'll show Stewart a wheel. Now and then, there's alongside. Carmichael makes the move. Can he make it stick? He goes around and with a great acceleration, indeed, takes the position from James Stewart. And now it's payback time with the dirt coming off the back of the Ford Suzuki. It's Stewart that's going to have to pick his lines.
You see Ricky take one little wipe at his goggles there, you know, thinking, all right, good, I'm in front of him. Now I can clean my goggles off and charge and try to catch Chad. That's what he needed to do. He had to get in front of him quick.
James Stewart will try to fight back. Had a little bit of a thought there to come on the inside. He pulls up alongside again on a very different line. But Carmichael with the inside rut is going to hold on to the advantage right now. This is for second place, amazingly enough, from dead last to runner-up in one moto.
James goes inside, tries to get a pass back.
The crowd lights up. Stewart's wheels are slightly ahead of those of Carmichael there, and now he has made the pass stick with laps, with time winding down and just a few more turns to go here. These guys have been battling in the middle of the pack, now at the front of the pack, and now for the runner-up position, the final 2 spots on the podium. Carmichael getting wild, comes by, but only briefly.
This is what everyone came to Hangtown to see. These 2 guys going at it. They're going to do this all season long, back and forth.
It is great racing, and long gone are the days of total domination. First by Jeremy McGrath. Well, we could go back further than that. Carmichael himself dominating the sport for quite some time. But in the last Supercross season, and now in motocross, it is really going to be the fans that come out the winners, no matter who crosses the line first.
The drizzle continues to come down here. You know, everyone in the crowd has umbrellas, and this track's going to continue to get slimier and slick as the rain continues to fall.
Well, they called it an 80% chance of rain, and it was already supposed to be pouring by now, but Mother Nature, with a sense of humor, has held off. And James Stewart has now left Ricky Carmichael pretty seriously behind here. And while he will not catch Chad Reed, it appears as though Carmichael is going to somewhat surrender as we look back a little bit deeper in the field.
Actually, Stewart's caught up to Chad by quite a bit here. He's cut that lead in half, I would say. There's got to be something going on. Oh, he's got no goggles on.
And no goggles for Chad Reed. We got a glimpse of him. And here he is right now on the number 22 machine. Our leader has taken his goggles off. It's good old Mother Nature's eyeballs that are battling the dirt chunks right now.
You know, that is the worst thing you can do is take your goggles off. It's almost like a cardinal rule you don't do. But sometimes when it's cooler like this, there's humidity in the air, your body starts to heat up, you'll fog the inside of your goggles, and there's nothing you can do. You just can't see out of them. Or you lose your tear-offs like Ricky did. He had to come through 39 guys. He just ran out of tear-offs, and eventually they get so dirty you can't see out of them. So it is definitely a last resort, but...
last lap, look at this, and it is James Stewart right behind, getting into a little bit of traffic right now. Who would have thought that Stewart or Carmichael would catch Reed with that big of a lead? It's happened. These guys are incredible.
This is the same move he put on Ricky right here.
Up inside, makes it work. Reed tries to cross back behind the wheels, but can't do it. They're in the air together, but James Stewart has made the pass, and you get the feeling that since he caught him, he'll probably be able to pull away, too.
There's nothing Chad can do. With no goggles, he can't get up there and try to challenge him. He's got to stay out of his roost, or he could lose an eyeball.
Jason Thomas getting the move over flag by the AMA officials now as we look at Chad Reed on the way outside. Stewart trying to pick his way through traffic down low. Up in the air here, Carmichael somewhat further back, but James Stewart coming from a crash. Actually, he stalled the bike. He didn't crash, he just stalled it. Couldn't get it started for quite a while, managed to do so, came back onto the track right alongside Ricky Carmichael. The two of them battled to the front, and now Stewart appears as though he will be the winner of Moto number 1.
You know what's so impressive to me with James is he just battled back with Ricky. Usually when Ricky passes a guy, that's it, it's over. And James just wouldn't let it happen. He fought back, got him back. And, that's the best way to demoralize a rider is when he gets you, pass him right back. It makes it so much harder for him to make another pass.
James Stewart winning Moto number 1. Welcome back to the Honda Hangtown Classic season opener for the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship by FMF. Let's take a look at our Suzuki Moto results. With James Stewart mounting the podium here, having won Moto number 1 in spectacular style. That'll bring a big cheer from the crowd. Chad Reed holding on for second. Carmichael couldn't quite get it done up there with Stewart. And we hope that you see the name of your favorite racer here as we go to Aaron Bates for a word of the winner.
James Stewart making the pass happen on the very last lap. James, you made the debut on the 450 here. You said it last year. Once you get your 450, there's going to be a whole different kind of racing going on. You proved your point exactly.
Yeah, last year, I struggled, but came back strong. I stalled it in the back over there, and I was like, damn, got to work hard for this one, and I never gave up.
Our Racer X Illustrated Whole Shot Award. Take another look. The number 4, Ricky Carmichael, out in front long enough to pick up the prize, but then...
Yeah, it almost looked like he tripped over that Racer X line there. Just lost it in that wet dirt. I'll tell you, though, the face of this race would have had a completely different look had he not gone down. I think it would have been another snoozer.
So the two of them talking to one another on the podium. Chad Reed did not join us on the podium here, and let's hear from Ricky.
Ricky, you mentioned you've stated that this is going to be your last full season before you head into retirement. Do you feel that this is going to be your most challenging season yet?
It's been pretty challenging, even the Supercross. And you know what? If I do mistakes like I did out there that time, for sure it's going to make it challenging. Man, that just bums me out because I felt really good, and the rest was history after that. I just had to kind of put laps together and do the best I can to come up.
Nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member. How about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA, rights, riding, and racing. Once again, we hope to catch up with Chad Reed after Moto number 2. That's coming up here as we do a little bit of track maintenance. But before that, let's take a look at highlights from the Hitachi AMA WMA National Motocross Championship. The women racing motocross.
Yeah, some people in the crowd might scoff a little bit here. Oh, women are coming up. But I'll tell you what, as soon as they drop the gate and let these girls go out there, I think most people in the stands have a real big appreciation for how fast these girls go.
Not many people in the stands would recognize Catherine Crum, number 649 from New Zealand, who came on her first trip to America, won both motos at Glen Helen. The number 2 is Elisa Nix. The number 1, multi-time champion Jessica Patterson from Tallahassee, Florida. But Catherine Crum has really opened some eyes here in America.
Yeah, Catherine's really impressed a lot of people, including myself. I had no idea who she was, had never heard her name before. She shows up at Glen Helen and just works these other girls. Jessica Patterson, the national champ. Tara Geiger, Sarah Whitmore, you know, all the fastest women in the country, and man, she let them have it.
Well, the WMA, the Women's Motocross Association, taking its rightful place alongside the guys. And a new face and a new name, Catherine Crum. Here as we watch the number 1, Jessica Patterson. Anyone familiar with motocross racing knows her. She is a tremendous competitor. Elisa Nix on the number 2 machine. Those are two that we are used to seeing. But look at this, a 3-digit number. Catherine Crum winning Moto number 1 here at Hangtown. Moto number 2, and everybody now begins to get some idea what Catherine Crum is all about. As we see the number 11 there, Sherry Cruz taking off pretty quickly, along with the numbers 1 and 2, Elisa Nix, rather Patterson and Nix. Here is Elisa Nix on the 2 machine.
Geiger comes by. She had troubles all day. She was crashing and bad starts. She had all kinds of trouble.
And also having trouble was Catherine Crum, who would go on to finish 17th in Moto number 2. She tipped over on the backside of the racetrack. We did not see it, but she came through the middle of the field here, and she's working her way through the field there past the number 965, and that is Mariana Balbi from Brazil. So international riders beginning to get a taste of racing here in America in the WMA.
Patterson, at the end of the day, showed why she's got that number 1 plate on her back. Went 2-1, got the overall.
And Elisa Nix on the number 2 machine, doing a 3-2 combination on the 2 motos. 3rd place in the first one, 2nd on the next. 1st and 17th for Catherine Crum, but she has already shown that she is going to be a contender in this Women's Motocross Association National Championship, sponsored by Hitachi. Jessica Patterson coming in to take the overall with a 2nd place finish in Moto 1 and a win in Moto number 2.
So many people are coming up, and you know, all the girls are so talented now. All the girls are so talented now. It's crazy. You know, you got to work hard, and I did it.
Jessica Patterson, overall winner, shares the podium with Elisa Nix and Jessie Davis as we go to James Bubba. Round 1 of the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship by FMF. The Honda Hangtown Classic Moto 2 coming up. But first, let's go to Erin Bates for the Progressive Direct pre-race report. She's got a special guest.
Well, you just never know who you're going to run into here at the Hangtown pits. But the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Hanna is roaming around here. Bob, 30 years ago today, here at Hangtown, you took your very first national win. Now you're coming back. You're watching rookies and veterans battle against each other. What do you think?
Oh, it's just nice to come down here. I haven't been down here in the last couple of years, but obviously I was here for 20 years, so it was kind of an anniversary to come down here and watch my buddies ride.
So the new fascination of flying, you guys actually just flew on in here. You landed just up the way, you walked down here. It's pretty amazing that you get to go from one extreme of dirt bikes all the way to flying. What sensation gives you the most adrenaline rush?
Oh, when I was young, I wouldn't trade anything for motorcycles, but after a while, you need to change. That's all. You need to get into something else. So that flying kind of takes care of that now.
Now you took your first win here on a Yamaha, so I got to ask you, are you rooting for Chad Reed?
In this moto, I don't know. I don't want to answer who I'm rooting for. I got a lot of buddies out there. In the last one, I was rooting for a Honda actually with Danny Smith. So it's just my buddies, whatever my buddies are riding.
Hey, Bob, thanks very much. It's always a pleasure catching up with you.
Thanks.
And David, how exciting would airplane racing being with the Hurricane around as we look at our Honda starting grid here today?
Yeah, as aggressive as he was on a motorcycle, I would hate to be up in the air next to him in another airplane.
Now, the start is, of course, going to be take place much the same as it did for Moto number 1, but Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart might hope it goes a little differently.
Well, I think Ricky's wanting to do the exact same thing he did the first moto, just maybe something a little different in that second turn. You know, if he can get a whole shot and get out front, that's what he loves to do, break away and get a little lead early.
Well, they've groomed the starting area here as best they can with a light rain falling. Ricky Carmichael on the number 4. Another great launch, times the gates perfectly. And look at all the mud, slop, and slime. It's amazing these bikes even hang on. Here comes turn number 2. Can Carmichael slide through there? Yes, he does, just ahead of the number 118. Davey Millsaps making his big bike debut, but not everybody got through okay.
Yeah, it'll be great to see how Davey does here. You know, so far, he's gone down every single time he's been on the track. He crashed in all of his practices, all of his qualifiers, the first moto. He almost goes down right there. But it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it on 2 wheels. He's definitely got the speed. Davey is the future of this sport. And it's neat to see how he does in this moto.
Carmichael out in front. Villeman on the number 12 was also very much in evidence there among the first 5 or 6 riders. Here is Ricky Carmichael. He's made it safely past the second turn and onto a somewhat drier part of the racetrack here. Carmichael on the yellow Makita Suzuki. And there is the number 12. Villeman up into second position. Millsap's going for another tear off there on the 118 bike. He's fading back just a little bit, but it is good to see him running up front. Youngster with a great future ahead of him.
Yeah, he sure does. You know, he just needs to be a little patient. He's used to riding that 250F that is a little lighter. He can throw it around. He can muscle it when it gets a little out of shape. You cannot do that on a 450. And I think he's experienced that a little bit. He just needs to be patient, take his time, and it's going to come to him. He's going to definitely be a great rider and a champion in this sport.
Well, youth and patience are two words that don't often go in the same sentence, but we would hope that is the case for Millsaps as Ricky Carmichael shows them the way here in Moto number 2.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a big surprise. Ricky's running the orange gear. You know, he's long loved that gear. Anytime he's got a problem, had a bad moto, he always comes back out in the orange gear. It's a good luck charm for him. So far, it's working. He's already gapping these guys, and I don't know where Stewart and Reed are in this pack, but they got to get up there if they want to catch him.
It is Villeman, Millsaps, and the number 11 Travis Preston on a Honda CRF 450R in that order behind Ricky Carmichael. And there's James Bubba Stewart in 5th position, and Millsaps goes down. He's got a perfect record here at Hangtown so far.
Hey, at least he's consistent.
Crashing in every single time he went out on the racetrack, but he's trying hard, and you got to give him credit for that. Take a look up the hill right now as Ricky Carmichael comes down it on the number 4 machine. No problems, no worries, no troubles so far. And here's where you really do want to kind of ride the ruts in those turns. At least they'll keep you upright.
You can see how fast this track's deteriorating. The rain has not stopped. They've had a lights class moto between these two, so the track is rutted, it's chewed up, and getting muddier and slipperier as the day goes on.
Ricky Carmichael, and then panning back quickly to David Villeman on the number 12 machine. His Yamaha running in 2nd position. Here's a look at our Toyota leaderboard. We'll be right back. It's 2006 and we're at Hangtown, but our flashback is going to take you way back. 26 years, 1980, Carlsbad, California, and some very old video that we think you'll enjoy. The Carlsbad U.S. Grand Prix, and some of the notables who are present at this event will really take you for a trip down memory lane. How about Brad Lackey? How about Danny Laporte? How about Roger DeCoster's last race on a Honda? The real story of this day was Marty Moats winning both motos on a privateer machine, and this was a little before your time, David Pingree.
Yeah, I would think I was still wet in the bed when these guys were out here doing this, but it's sad to me to see this video of Carlsbad. You know, they recently closed this track down, and there's so much history behind it. To see these guys, Danny Laporte, Roger DeCoster's last race, I mean, that's huge.
Everybody having their share of problems, no different back then than it is now, but it was Marty Moats winning both motos here on that privateer number 23 machine, and a big celebration certainly for that man, as a crowd at Carlsbad enjoyed some terrific racing that looked a lot different back then than it does right now. How about the uniforms? How about the helmets? How about the hairstyles? How about everything?
Big hair and mustaches.
Much different than it is today, except for the intensity of the racing. Ricky Carmichael on his number 4 Suzuki, out in front with a very, very big lead. And James Bubba Stewart working up towards the number 12 of David Villeman, the runner-up. And the way he passed him in the first moto, you have to think it won't be long before he goes by again.
Yeah, that's not to knock on David Villeman, but Stewart and Carmichael are going so much faster than everybody else. They're just on a completely another level. And I think everybody kind of knows that. You know, they don't want to really accept it, but at the end of the day, you look at the lap times and they don't lie.
Villeman looking back at Stewart and perhaps feeling as though the inevitable is about to happen. Nevertheless, he is a racer, he is a fighter. Villeman will do everything he can to prolong what might, in fact, he might be unable to stop. And there goes Stewart around him on the inside.
It'll be interesting now to see if Stewart can close that gap on Ricky. You know, he's had faster lap times, like we talked about in practice. He was 2 seconds a lap faster, but now you've got a track that's broken down, it's rutted, it's a little more muddy. And Ricky excels in those conditions. The rougher, the tougher it is, the faster he goes.
Stewart making the pass on Villeman's stick here in moto number 2, reaching up to take a blob of mud off his face shield there somehow. The only rider among the top 3 to finish the race with goggles in place. As we go back to the number 11 now, Travis Preston, just get a glimpse of him.
That's a good ride for Travis. You know, he's got a new gear deal now with Fox. and he's trying to put a good season together. His Supercross season was a little up and down, and he needs to have a good summer.
James Stewart in second position right now in the number 7 Kawasaki. Another glimpse at the Toyota leaderboard. We'll be back to Hangtown after this. By Suzuki, lightweight, superior power, incredible handling. It's why champions choose Suzuki. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. Final lap here at Hangtown. Ricky Carmichael riding around in front of James Stewart. He got the job done right off the starting line, David Pingree. And since then, it's just been a matter of a second here, a second there, and he's opened up a huge lead.
Yeah, now the question that goes unanswered here is, did James Stewart realize he had the overall, let him go, not really chase him down, or did Ricky just flat drop him? So we'll have to go to High Point next weekend to find out the answer there, to see if Ricky had more speed, just didn't have goggles in the first moto, or James just didn't really charge the second moto because he knew he had the overall wrapped up.
I'm going to go with A, because these are professionals, and of course, James knows that if he finishes second behind Ricky, and that's what's going to happen, he will take the overall, so why fight for something that isn't going to make any difference? If he beats Ricky Carmichael, he wins the overall also, so no big deal. Carmichael here, a measure of revenge, if you want to call it that, under worsening conditions, shows once again he's the man.
You got to remember, though, those points, there's a 3-point difference between first and second. James was close enough. He could have made a run at Ricky if he'd have really put his head down. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he couldn't catch him. Maybe Ricky was just turning faster lap times.
Roger DeCoster enjoying the spoils of victory there under the umbrella as Ricky Carmichael kind of tiptoes his way around. Don't want to make a mistake now with the finish line nearly in sight. The conditions deplorable if this was lawn bowling, but hey, it's motocross, and even the fans are having fun out there. At least it's warm, although it's wet.
Yeah, Ricky's been impressive. This is, I spoke with him earlier. I said, now, you're going to retire next year is what you're telling everybody, but if you go out and win the first 2 nationals and you're leading points, are you telling me you're really going to pull out? He says, yep, that's it, I'm done. Because I don't want the pressure of racing for another championship again. I've done it my whole career. I just want to go out and have some fun.
Well, it's hard to imagine how long Ricky Carmichael has been doing just that, because these men devote themselves so totally to their craft. Indeed, Ricky Carmichael, our Suzuki Moto results here on top of James Bubba Stewart, and Stewart will take the overall here as we look at the rest of the results. Here comes the man that's going to be the overall champion, has ended a remarkable winning streak of overall wins by Ricky Carmichael. James Bubba Stewart has done the deed here today at Hangtown.
I'm so pumped. It's been over a year since I won one of these things, and coming here, I had struggled on Saturday and then struggled a little bit today, but we was able to get the job done. The first moto, we went forward and had a good battle with Ricky and then a pass shot on last lap, and second moto I saw him out front, and I just wanted to settle in and get the overall. I knew I could win in the second, but I sure could lose it if I tried to go for it, so I'm happy.
And there's the answer to our question, with James Stewart atop the overall leaderboard with a 1-2 finish there. Ricky Carmichael third and first, good enough for second overall, and Chad Reed takes third on the podium.
It's possible that this is my last season, but like I told you yesterday, I just want to have fun this year and enjoy it. It's we're leaps and bounds better, I believe. It's the bike's a lot more fun to ride, and I'm happy. That's all it means. I got a lot of rocks in my eyes. I took my goggles off, which is kind of stupid on my part, but that's why I wasn't here on the podium in the first one.
And we go now to our Racer X Hole Shot Award. Same man, same result. He takes the $500 prize on the number 4 Makita Suzuki.
Ricky's always been a good starter, and here at Hangtown, he kept that streak going.
Well, it's been a long time since this guy's been defeated, Ricky. The win streak has come to an end of 27 overall national wins. You knew it was going to happen at some point. What were you expecting to happen this weekend?
You know what? I knew it was probably going to be this year for sure. And you know what? I'm just more disappointed in myself and bummed for my team, because that was a bonehead move, man, that first moto. Probably costed us the win today, but you know what? We went out and showed them the second moto. It's going to be a long series, and you know what? I just want to be up there every weekend.
We're looking forward to each and every round of this series as we look at the point standings. James Stewart, 2 points better than Ricky Carmichael with his overall win. 3 points further back is Chad Reed, and everybody else way behind the 3 of them who are the class of the field. This week it was James Stewart. Who knows? Next time it might be Carmichael, it might be Reed, or someone new might pop into the picture. Either way, stick around for the entire motocross season. For Aaron Bates and David Pingree, I'm Brian Trevor. We'll see you next time.